Hi guys, it's 2025 and we have with us the cheapest MacBook in 2019. This is the MacBook Pro 2019. It's i5 with 8GB of RAM, and then we have 512GB for storage. Let's find out what can it do in 2025. Is it worth it getting 2025 considering the big price tag that we still have on this particular MacBook Pro? So let's get into the review. We see how it serves up in 2025. And now, just to take you back in time, this was how the packaging was. And it's funny that 6 years later, the packaging still looks like this. So this is the packaging of our MacBook Pro 13-inch 2019 model. 6 years old. This box is 6 years old. This is how the outer cover was. You can see. Yeah. And then right here on the cover, we have all the specs that we need. So you can see it's MacBook Pro 13-inch. We have the model right over there, and then over here we have Bluetooth, all those things. And then here is where you have all the properties of this particular MacBook. It was 13-inch MacBook Pro, Retina, LED backlight with True Tone technology. We have 2K display right over here, 2.4 GHz quad-core Intel Core i5, turbo boost of up to 4.1 GHz, 8GB of RAM, LPD, DDR3 memory. We have 512GB SSD, and then it has Intel Iris graphics, 655, 4 Thunderbolt USB-C ports, all those things you'll see, headphone jack, touch bar, touch ID, backlit keyboard with ambient sensor. I think this is something that I really love the most about these MacBooks, because having ambient sensors on the backlit, this is so special. Most of these machines have ambient sensor, light sensors on the screen, but not on the backlit. Yeah, and then Wi-Fi 5, Bluetooth 5.0. We have FaceTime, that is HD, that is the camera. Pre-installed macOS, so common. Then the weight is 1.3 kilograms, so light. It meets the energy star requirement, so it's energy efficient. And the rest. Now, let's unpack it. We see what we have over here. So this is how the interior is. That is the packaging. And I'll just use this to lift up. Don't mind. I'm using my national identity card. This thing is so expensive right over here in my country, but I'll just have to use it here to do this one last thing. I think I need to get proper tools to do this, but for our case, for this time, just allow me to use this. Now, that is the MacBook. We have the space gray one. There's a different color, silver, but right now I have the space gray color. I think I love this the most. I'll talk about the casing later. And then this is how the packaging was when it was new. So you have the Type-C cable right over here. I'll tell you something I love about this cable later. And then you have the power plug. See? And you have the adapter right over here. So here it's Type-C. Then this cable is Type-C on both sides, so it means you plug it right over here. You can use it to charge your machine. You can also use this cable as a data transfer currently, because most of the devices you're using, maybe mobile phone, they're Type-C, so it's easier to connect from Type-C to another Type-C with this cable. Underneath here, there's nothing. This is just caging for our beautiful MacBook. So right over here is our MacBook, and just have a look at the design. This thing is 9 years old, and if you just woke up somebody from the dead today and tell him this machine is maybe 9 years old, or it was released into the market today, I think he'll go with the idea that it was released into the market today, because this thing is so slim. Just have a look at it. And one thing that I really love about MacBooks is the body design. I've reviewed so many machines. I've come to interact with so many laptops, and none of them in terms of body design come close to what we have on the MacBooks. This thing is so strong, guys. Just have a look. It's so difficult to even bend in the top cover, so it means the screen is well protected. The aluminum chassis on the side is also very strong. MacBook really worked on the body design. In terms of body design, I always give them 10 out of 10 because it's always dope. So strong. And then remember, it's only 1.3 kilograms, so it's light, portable, things that we love in the modern or in this particular century. We love things that are portable, can perform, very strong, durable, reliable. You can name them all. Then we have Apple logo here. Remember, this Apple logo does not light. From 2016, we have them not lighting as we have on the 2015 versions, going downwards. Then top surface, or generally the body, it's scratch proof, so it means it's not easier to scratch the surface on this MacBook. Actually, I normally advise, if you have a MacBook, there's no need even to put stickers here, because it's so difficult to scratch the surface, even if you have something that is metallic. If you've watched my previous review, you've seen me trying to scratch the surface of these MacBooks, and it's not getting scratches or dents at all, unless you do it deeper to a point that now it's distracting. You see some of these laptops that get scratches just by accident, small scratches, or just small strips, and then they get scratches. Well, this one, you have to do it by force to make that scratch appear. I know you are very interested in getting to see the keyboard side, so let's first try and find out if 6 years later we can still lift up the lid with a single finger. So we go, let's do it. We see how sustainable is the one finger. Down, down. And it's working. We have a problem with the touch bar. Expect someday to have issues with the touch bar. You see, mine is blinking. This is something that I've tried to sort out, but it's not working. Remember, this machine is 6 years old, so you expect to have those issues, especially in electrical stuffs like that one. You see, at least it's working slightly, yeah, but it has some issues because it works and then at times it fails to work. So that is the touch bar. I was not to talk about that but since it has distracted us, I had to talk about it just before we turn on the machine. One finger, lift of the lid, still working. Just have a look at the keyboard, the trackpad, so big as usual, so efficient, very reliable. I know most of you always wonder why is the trackpad so big, but if you've been using MacBooks, or if you're a person who loves typing so much, then having a big trackpad is so advantageous. This trackpad definitely supports multi gestures. One thing I always love about MacBook trackpad is that you can click anywhere on the surface and you still feel the clicks. It's very multi-dimensional. I really love the trackpad. And then the keyboard, we have the butterfly keyboard. It's not the best keyboard. The travel distance is really small. It's not even 1 millimeter, 0.5 something millimeters. So the travel distance is really small, but you can feel the clicks. Yeah, I know some people love feeling those clicks while typing, but the travel distance it's so shallow. Yeah, you reach your limits quite easily. And there are a lot of complaints about the butterfly keyboard for the MacBooks 2019, 2016, 17. In terms of keyboard design on this particular generation, yeah, it wasn't the best, because the butterfly keyboard really disappointed a lot of people. But again, you know, one man's food can be another man's poison. So there's a lot of people complain about the butterfly keyboard, but I know there's some of you that really love the butterfly keyboard design and you actually want it to last. But if you're from ThinkPad or Lenovo ThinkPad users, then this keyboard might be just trainers for you. Let's see how the backlight distribution is in dark places, because this is usually so important. I always have to do this test and see how good the backlit is. Remember, this is a backlit that has ambient light sensors, so it means if you use this MacBook in places where we have sufficient lighting, then the backlit levels will be low so as to conserve power, because if you're in an outdoor environment where there's light, or in a room where there's enough lighting, there's no need to have the backlit on. And most of the time you normally forget to turn it off. That's why having those ambient light sensors reduce the backlight for you. It's advantageous. Just on the keyboard, you see we have this touch bar here, and I really love the fact that it has decided to behave, because this review was not going to be complete without the touch bar working. It's so important. So you see, we don't have that row for functions that we normally have on MacBooks that are non-touch bar. For our case, this touch bar acts as the row for all the shortcuts. We see we have the volume shortcut, we have the keyboard backlight shortcuts, we have the screen brightness shortcuts, escape. So we all have them right over here, and if this fails, then it will be difficult to access those shortcuts. That's why it's good to have maybe a MacBook without the touch bar. At the same time, it's advantageous to have one with a touch bar, because with a touch bar, there are many functions that you can do apart from the functions that we're seeing right over there. Then here we have fingerprint scanner for sign in. So it's actually the power button, and also, you see, Touch ID. So this is where you can scan your fingerprint to log into your MacBook instead of having the pin. Right over here we have the speakers, and here, I know these ports might look so small, guys. They might look so small, but another thing that I always love about MacBooks, apart from big trackpads, body design, is the speakers, guys. The speaker of the sound qualities from this MacBook, is close to the sounds that you normally have on JBL devices. If you've used JBL devices for some time, then that is the sound you expect to get from these MacBooks. It's very slim, very slim, but the sound coming from this MacBook, the bass quality, the mid quality, it's just on another level. I know the M1 or the M series, the silicon chips ones, are much better sound wise, but this one, in terms of the Intel laptops, there's none that compares to the sound quality we have over here. Even the gaming laptops, the sound does not come close to what we have on these MacBooks. So I'll do a sound test for you so that you prove me right or wrong in the next few minutes. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Most of the time, people normally confuse this screen to be touchscreen because of the glass surface and the way it looks glossy. So it's anti-glare surface, and then we have a matte surface right over here just to absorb the reflections coming onto the screen. See how the screen is very conk, sharp and clear. The bezels, they're somehow not so thin as you'd expect because it's glass, and I don't know why they decided to add this black frame right over here. I think it would have been a good idea if they would have stretched the screen to the edge of the machine. Maybe it's for security purposes, just to make the screen durable, but I think they would have done away with the bezels. But still, remember, it's 6 years ago, so it's still a good deal. See the black lining. We have the bezel, but still have the black lining over here. Nonetheless, the screen is very sharp. Remember, it has brightness levels of 400, and that's the reason why most of the time you see people using MacBooks in outdoor environment, because the brightness levels on the screen is so bright that even the normal sunlight doesn't get to distract you when you're working on your MacBook in an outdoor environment. But if you have a machine that has lower brightness levels or even 250 nits, accessing or using it in outdoor environment is not that efficient. You'll be having issues with seeing what's on the display. So let me just key in the password. You see the internal specs, because I know you're so keen on that, and maybe so that you find out if this MacBook can still handle your today task in 2025, or you get a better one. Yeah, so now that I've been able to log in, you can see how the display is. Have a look at the colors. The strength of the color concentration is so high. Remember, we are having a 2K display on a very small size, that is 13.3 inch. We have 227 pixel per inch. That's why when it's red, you see the red color exact coming out how it's supposed to be. When it's brown, it comes out brown. Yellow comes out yellow. Blue, everything else is so sharp. So it means with this screen, if you're a video editor or a photo editor, then you're well taken care of. If you love watching movies or videos at highest resolutions, at good colors, then you're very sorted with this. But there's a downside to that. You get to the properties. Let's just get to the properties right over here about the Mac. Then right over here, as I said earlier, it's the speed is 2.4. It's quad core. We have Intel Iris graphics. That is 1.5 GB. So there is a dedicated graphic for editing that supports video editing and photo editing, but not heavy duty, because we have only 8 GB of RAM right over here, which is so limited in the current world. So if you're into photo editing or video editing, then 8 GB of RAM, it's too small. You might need a much higher amount of RAM, but there's a disadvantage with these MacBooks, because from 2013 they decided to solder the RAM on the motherboards, and years later they decided to solder also the storage on the motherboard. So serviceability, upgradability of these MacBooks, it's very, very hard. At least it's good that they last longer. It's rare to come across a MacBook that is spoiled or that is not working. Nevertheless, at least upgradability should have been there. If you get a MacBook with 8 GB of RAM, then you'll have to use it for the rest of your life unless you sell it to upgrade. You can't do a physical or even a serviceable upgrade on the RAM and even the storage that we have right over here. They're all soldered on the motherboard. Then right here on the screen, we also have some important features. We have the dark mode, we have the night shift. Enable these if you are color sensitive to the blue light of the screen at night. So if you enable it, at least the blue light disappears. You see now it's a bit warm, so this helps your eyes if you are working on this machine at night and when the lights are off. Very important to your eyes. Then you have True Tone right over here for screen again. So True Tone is a very underrated feature, but it's a feature that Mac embraced so as to adjust the screen lighting or the color of the screen depending on the ambient lighting of the environment where you're in. If you're in a place where there's enough lighting or the lighting is a bit warm, the screen adjusts itself so that you don't feel that difference and you still feel comfortable using the screen. That's why they came up with True Tone, you see. So you can enable or disable the True Tone. You can also come here to adjust the display settings to your liking. See, right over there. For other properties, you just come to, see, this is where you get all the properties that you need. Now, still not all, but at least you can see the specs. 8 GB of RAM, DDR3. Then right over here we are running on the latest macOS, that is macOS Secure. So at least it's still very relevant. The processor is still relevant for upgrading to latest macOS. And then the display, remember I said is 2K. See, color concentration is so conk. In terms of display, I think it's still way up above with the latest MacBooks. The screen resolution is still so good, so there's no downside on that. For storage, we have 512 GB SSD, and then to get all the other specs, you come to where we have the system report on any other MacBook system report. And then right over here, this list downwards, you'll get to see all the properties of your MacBooks. Like for the first part, we have the hardware part. The model name is MacBook Pro. See, model identified right over here. The processor is Core i5, 2.4 GHz. The internal number of cores is 4 cores. I still feel this is so little for 2019 or for 2025. Most of the machines that you're using currently have around 8 cores, 12 cores, 16 cores. So this was a bit low, even though the price tag of this machine is so high. But in terms of processor, don't rely solely on that. This is a very weak processor, according to me. Memory, also, as I said earlier, very small memory. Then something here that I love to show you is thing for the graphics. You talked about that. Memory. I think it's right over here. Have a look. Memory manufacturer, Samsung. You see how these companies normally borrow some of the spares from other company. So Samsung manufacture memory for Mac. Yeah. So we have 4 GB of RAM on one channel and then another one on another channel to make it 8, and they are soldered, so it's not upgradable. And the memory speed is a bit low, 2133 megahertz. That's way low, considering the fact that 925 we have memory speeds of up to 64, even 6400 megahertz. So little, but with that it's good, just good. And then in terms of power, right over here, this is something that you should always check on any MacBook that you're getting. Power here. This is where you check the battery information of your MacBook. So you see here, battery, the battery charge is below warning. Okay, there's nothing there. But here, full charge capacity is 3798. It has really deteriorated. And cycle count. This is the most important part. If you get any MacBook with cycle count of above, I always say above 200, that is, the battery is just worn out. See here, it's 1000, and even the condition it's recommending for service. So the battery rate of it's very worn out. It's 6 years, guys, so you expect the battery to be a bit weak, so it won't last as long as it always does when it was new. But at least you can still compromise and use it, because it's not a 1 hour battery. At least it will take you 2 hours. Yeah, but if you have cash again, you can get a new battery that at least will last you 6 or 4 hours. Remember, the battery is replacement, and it will not last you longer as the original battery. Right on top of the screen here, we have a camera that is not that visible. I think MacBook should find a way of covering this camera physically, because most of the time you'll have to find, or you'll have to put sellotape right over here to physically close the camera. You know how important that is. And to test the camera, you normally, or to run the camera, you have the Face ID right over here. The camera is HD, so it's not that good. You can see even how the quality is. It's not that good, but at least it will handle your day-to-day tasks. You have microphones right over there for taking back your voice, so it's good. HD camera, not so perfect, but it will do the basic task for your online Zoom meetings. Just have a look at the ports. We had forgotten, see the ports. Actually, I've forgotten because this machine does not have so many ports. On this side, we have 2 USB-C Thunderbolt 3 ports. There's a high-speed ports for data transfer. You can use this port for data transfer or projecting to external displays that support up to 4K. You can also use these ports to charge your MacBook. Either of these ports can be used as charging ports. Then on this other side, we also have another 2 USB-C ports. You see, they do the same function of the ports we have on the other side. USB-C Thunderbolt 3 ports. Then we have the audio jack microphone port right over here. At least they care about that. So that might be advantageous for you or disadvantageous. If you have memory cards, if you have flash drives you want to insert right over here, if you have HDMI cables, then you'll have to get USB hub. That is always expensive for MacBook, so that is disadvantageous. But it's not a must for you to have all those cables or ports entering through the machine. Then you're good with the USB-C that we have right over here, because they're so universal. So right now you can hear how loud the fan is. I've tried to stress the processor a bit so that you get to listen to how loud the fan can sound. It's not that loud to fill a room. Let me just take the camera away from the machine. You can hear it's a bit silent over here. Then as you bring it closer, right over here you can see how nice the touch bar is. So right now when you're browsing, you have here, you can just type over here, touch on the touch bar to search on the screen. See all the functions you want to do on the touch bar. If you want to reduce the brightness, you can just do it on the touch bar. There are so many functions you can perform with the touch bar. For volume, see the volume icon, you can adjust the volume, yeah, with the touch bar. Very nice. So the touch bar is somewhat advantageous. They did away with it, and I think they should have maintained it and make it at least optional for those who don't want and for people who enjoy using the touch bar. Now I don't have an air conditioner in this room. Don't think that I have air conditioner in this room, but you can feel something from far. You can hear something. Let me just bring the camera closer so that you get to listen to the sound emanating from the fan. Feel? Yeah, right here it's a bit hot right now. It's getting hotter. That's because I've stretched the machine. I've not even opened so many tabs. See, it's not even 20, it's close to around 16 tabs open, and you can feel how the fan is spinning. So it means the processor is really struggling. We're having cooling issues. So if you can deal with that, then you're good, you're okay. That's why I was saying it's not good to run heavy tasks on this particular machine, because it's definitely going to throttle and it's going to overheat. But again, I think this particular machine needs a lot of servicing because it's 6 years and I know it has never been opened, so it needs servicing. The fans, the vents, they're definitely, or they are probably clogged. That's why it's releasing so much noise. You still hear it? Yeah. Now we can talk all day, all night about this MacBook, but just to summarize what I feel about this MacBook, in terms of RAM, it's way low. The processor is way low because it's quad core, so the number of cores is a bit low for 2025. It means if you're getting this machine, then it's good for office work, it's good for light coding, it's good for photo editing, but it's not good for video editing because you'll struggle a bit with that memory that you have over there, especially for serious professional video editors. Yeah, so maybe if you get one from 2019, get one with 16 GB of RAM, i7 and above for video editing. But if you want one for office work, something that is reliable, portable, then this MacBook, it's for you. If you want something for entertainment, definitely this is for you because the screen, top-notch, speakers, top-notch. Maybe the battery might disappoint you if you're watching a movie or if you're enjoying yourself and you don't have power plugged in. But for entertainment, 100%. Office work, 100%. Video editing, 20%. Photo editing, 100%. Let me know what you think about this MacBook in the comment section. Anything else that you feel I might have left out, or any advice that you want to give to somebody who is planning to own this MacBook Pro 2019 in 2025. Let's meet in the comment section. Thanks so much for sticking around, and as usual, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to leave a like on this video. See you next time. Bye bye.